I would like you to take this challenge really seriously. It's easy to look at this as, it's a free challenge, just show up in the morning and I'm done. I would like you to take this challenge very, very seriously, because you never know what is going to come out for you from this challenge. Take it very seriously when you reflect, as you go about your day, as you sit down to pray, if you meditate, when you meditate. Allow what arises to rise to the surface. And I know that some of you, after yesterday, there will be things that keep arising, some of which make you uncomfortable, and some which keep nagging you. This would be 1 week when you have to find time to just sit and be still. And this is the 1 week when you intentionally create time, when you leave the phone out somewhere. You leave it in the bedroom, you leave it in the living room, so that the two of you are in different rooms for, even if it's just 10 minutes. One of those opportunities is when you do that assignment. Be still and know. Be still and know. Finding the room to actually be still. I wanted to share the central question from all the questions we shared yesterday, and I still want to thank Alma for sharing these questions, because I had a version of them, but this came out so much more impactful. But particularly this one question. Please confirm to me if you're seeing the big screen or the smaller screen.
The big one.
The big one, fantastic. So this question here, and I want you to actually jot down some thoughts that come to you right now. Jot down some thoughts that come to you. And I just want you to focus on those the first 3 words. Just the first 3 words. The rest is just a disclaimer. It's a qualifier. It helps you. Who are you? Who am I? I want you to, it is so important in what we are doing, because every journey has a destination. Our journey is a journey of return. Return where? Who am I? Without my achievements, and this is just one thing, without my achievements, without my goals, without my dreams, without my skills, without my networks, without my influence, without my reputation, without my memories, without my wins, without my failures, who am I? One of the most popular songs in Christian circles is I Know Who I Am by Sinach from Nigeria. But I think that is one of the most misused songs, because that is not a song to hear and start singing immediately. That's a song to hear and first of all sit and actually reflect, so that by the time you are singing it, you truly know what you are singing about. If you ask me today, I know what I have done. I know where I have been. I know where I want to go. I know what I am learning. I know who I am serving. I know all that. But the day my mentor got me to just sit down and we meet for coffee, and it's like, today, for the next hour, we are only exploring one question. Who is Job? And I'm seated there, I'm like, I'm a firstborn son, I'm a Kenyan, and it's like, that is your demographics. Do you want to tell me your weight too, and your skin color, the number of teeth you have? Who am I? And I sat there with a page that I couldn't even feel a third of. If he had asked me the goals I have, the desires I have, the dreams I have, where I want to go. I would have needed 5 pages. An hour, I would need 5 pages because I would feel them. But this is a question of who am I? Who are you? I want to see in the chat box, please type engaging if you are engaging with that question. It's not an easy question. If you are engaging with that question, engaging doesn't mean you're winning against that question or it's flowing because that is what you can do. That is not about who you are. I want to see some people actually engaging with the question. Are you engaging with that question? Who am I? I see people are engaging with the question, who am I? If I removed all my attachments, because for me, this was the beginning of reducing the volume on the external voices, because I realized that I can perceive myself and define myself without relating myself to other people, because relating yourself to other people is the basis of comparison, is the basis of competition, is the basis of criticism, it's the basis of complaining. It doesn't mean that you cannot do all those things once you get deeper into this question, but you do any of those things, you do them from a deeper place. When you answer that question, one thing you lose is pride. And I can't wait until a day I know for sure I am way, way past pride. But you also gain a sense of humility that is difficult to explain. Reducing the volume on external voices includes letting go of grudges, because if I can let go of grudges, what they owe me, I can also let go of what I expect them to give me, them to do for me, how I want them to help me. I can also reduce the volume on what they say towards me, because I realize that this is a pleasure and a privilege and an honor that I'm interacting with them, but who I am does not depend on this relationship, on this opportunity, on this promotion, on this job, on this university I've gone to, or in this institution I work with. It does not depend on how well my children or my nieces, my nephews are doing. It has nothing to do with what car I drive, what house I live in. I can be the same person in every environment. And if there's one thing we learn from the story of the prodigal son, he left home a son. He squandered money, a son. He was hired and sent to the field, a son. He desired to eat the pot the pigs were eating, still a son. He was in the pig pen, a son, until he remembered, he came back to himself, a son. He started rehearsing a speech that he will give to his father and demote himself, tell his father, I am not worthy to be called your son. Make me one of your servants. He's desiring a demotion. It did not change the fact that he was a son. He returned home smelling like pigs. He was still a son, and he was embraced back a son. When he returned, the only thing that mattered is that he was a son. There was no time you heard from the father's words and voice that this is my younger boy who told me to give him half of my wealth because he wanted to live as though I am dead. That's because that identity never changed. Who am I without my mistakes, my wins, my memories, my desires, my victories, my accomplishments, my possessions, my relationships? Who am I? Because the power that lies in there the power that lies in just that answer by itself. Who am I? Because that changes everything. Who am I? Regardless of how I express certainty or experience certainty, one thing never changes: who I am. Who I am. I over-control because of my goals, my dreams, my history, my relationships. I overthink because of comparison, because of not wanting to look like a fool. I hit decision paralysis because some part of me believes that if I fail, it would make me less than I am. If I fail, if they laugh at me, if they criticize me, if they do better than me, it will make me less than I am. And yet that will never, never happen. The way I experience variety, feeling awake in my own life is not the end goal. It is the key to expressing who I am. Aliveness is just the portal, the space to express more of who I am. Did I raise my own thumbs up when I'm moving this? Okay. Let me now do it live. The foundation of all my needs and all your needs is certainty and variety, because these are the roots. And they are not the roots, they do not become the goal, they become the expression of who I am, of who you are. The significance that you attain, what people know you for, what you accomplish, the titles, the credentials, you become a Moran of the burning spear, the elder of the burning spear, and they do not make you more of who you are. They are an expression of who you are. That is the impact that relates to other people, relates to projects and goals and dreams. The prodigal son was a son when he was at home. He was significant. He mattered even before he returned. He's not more because he has made good decisions and come back. There's nothing I will ever achieve that will make me more. There are things I will achieve and do which will allow me to express more of who I am. They don't make me more. So my role, and I hope for the day when this will be burnt in my mind so deeply that I never forget it, that my role in this life, there is zero responsibility for me to justify myself, to explain myself, to prove myself, to show what I can, to prove. My role here is to express who I am. If it leads to significance in terms of titles and achievement and recognition and reputation, well and good. It does not make me more. Love and connection equally are just platforms to express who I am. When love and connection becomes a goal, when the goal becomes to maintain the connection at whatever cost, to maintain the love at whatever cost, that's when I start people pleasing. That's when I silence my own voice. That's when I start giving beyond what I should give. That's when I start diluting my own boundaries. And that is when I forget that people's response to me is not my responsibility. It's my responsibility to treat them in a way that honors them, but trying to control how they will respond to me, trying to do anything to maintain the connection, to earn the love, to be in their good graces for the sake of being in their good graces, especially when it violates my personal integrity, my authentic truth. That is self-erasure, that is self-sacrifice. And there is nothing more demeaning. There's nothing more demeaning than that, than hiding your own voice, hiding your authentic needs, hiding your authentic interests. You wanted to go to Uganda or Rwanda for Easter, but your friends want to go to the same place they've gone to. Maybe it's Mombasa or Masai Mara or Naivasha or Mount Longonot, and you did not say it. You went with them. And then you remain bitter because you went there and it was not what you wanted, and 5 years later you still remember that event. This is what we do to ourselves, and it doesn't start when we are at this age, whatever age you are. There's a reason why the prodigal son, it was not the elder son, it was the younger son. Now, we are not told how young this younger was, because it's a metaphor, it's a parable. It's not the older son, it's the younger son. We learn to hide our true needs so young, and sometimes, unfortunately, we create an environment that requires the children in our lives to hide their needs. And that's because for the child, maintaining love and connection in the homestead, in the family, is a matter of survival. If they feel that when they say the truth, it's going to lead to trouble, they will hide the truth. I remember this day, I must have been 7 or 8 years old. We had been in the farm the whole day, and I ran errands the whole day, fetching water, collecting the maize cobs, bringing the adults whatever they needed. If I needed to run the shop, go get more equipment to carry the maize home. By the time we got home, it was probably 3:30, 4 p.m. My mother is seated cooking, and I'm seated across on a small bench waiting for lunch. And she looks over and she says, "Are you okay?" And I remember she asked it in vernacular, which it just comes, it has a tone to itself. And I said, "I'm okay." And I remember that moment. And when I was going back to my younger self, some of those memories came so vividly. Then I realized at that time, I had learned that honesty was dangerous. Because if I said I'm tired, I would have had, "What have you done to be tired? You think you've done more than all of us?" If I had said I'm hungry, I would have had, "Who in this household is not hungry?" If I said I'm thirsty, I would be asked, "Don't you have hands to go and get water and drink?" And even when I say it like that, I don't hold anything against my mother at all. I'm just looking back and realizing and learning, when did my running start? And being honest about how and when that running started. Love and connection. Who are you without the things you do to earn love and to earn connection and to maintain some of the relationships where you literally, it's as though they come prepackaged, that you have to contort yourself to fit here. You have to contort to continue to remain, to continue to be part of this community. Growth. One of the reasons people create a new address in a city called perpetual preparation, it's either you're in perpetual preparation or you move to a suburb that is called almost ready, except almost ready becomes a permanent address. 15 years later, you are almost ready to launch that business. It's because growth feels so threatening that subconsciously we think that growth will change who we are. And yet that will never happen. Who am I? Who I am can only be expressed through growth. Growth will never. It will never increase my value. It will never make me more of me. It will just express me. Give me more opportunities to express who I truly am. Here's something that I probably might sound basic, but every domain of your life can be narrowed down to a certain area. That is your work life. That is your social life. That is your academic life. That is your business life. That is your religious life. That is your physical health life. That is home life. Each of those domains can be narrowed down. There's one thing that will never be narrowed down, and that is your identity. And I'm not talking about identity in terms of the masks we wear. I'm talking about the core identity. It is the only thing that cuts across all of them. And anytime I find myself being more of one thing than in one place, in one realm, in one quote-unquote life over the other, it means I am selectively silencing my own voice in certain environments. And usually I'm silencing my voice because I believe that's the only way to meet a certain need. Sometimes we silence our voice to meet growth. Sometimes we silence our voice to meet contribution. Sometimes we silence our voice to maintain love and connection, human relationships. Sometimes significance. Sometimes we silence for variety. Sometimes we silence for certainty. Where in your life might you have silenced your authentic voice, your needs? You've silenced what you need. You silenced an inner true voice to meet a certain external need. I might be talking about something that I'm alone in. So if I want you to speak for yourself, if any of what I'm talking about touches on you, do you mind go to the chat box and type me? Go to the chat box and type me. And if when I say it, type me, you immediately thought, what will these people think? Hello, Rana. How are you? How is the race? I don't laugh. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at myself because, oh my goodness. It's the number of times I catch myself, especially in my workplace. Without giving any specifics, I caught myself today holding back my voice to a family of a patient that was being inappropriate with me. And as I was beginning to start explaining and apologizing, I removed my stethoscope from my neck and I held it by my hand. And then I said, excuse me, and then I told them exactly what was on my mind. And all that animosity that they had towards me was no longer my responsibility. They did change their attitude, but that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to make sure that I am able to express my voice. It doesn't mean that I become brash and I don't care. No, I just need to be authentic. Even in environments where I cannot do that, I still need to remember what is my true voice. I may not tell them. They may not even know it, but I have to remain in touch with that true voice, because that true voice comes from those three words. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? I've seen, Connie, I've seen your comment. Peacemaker all the time. Oh my goodness. Peacemaker all the time. Yeah. That will not be just you. That's 100% something I know really, really well. And I would thank you for pointing that out. It just fits in, and I would encourage everyone here. Just look back. Because the real you is who was born. You were born the real you. When you cried, when you arrived here and really, really cried, there was no story, there was no expectation. If you were born today, you probably wouldn't cry. You wouldn't cry because there are so many people around you. I probably wouldn't cry if I was born today with the mindset I have today, and then I'm born like this, and I'm surrounded by lights, but the spontaneous expression of the child comes and they express themselves, they cry. Some of us, if we were born today, will be like, excuse me, can I cry? Is it okay? Then you cry, you finish, you're like, was it loud? Did I do it well? Did you record? Did you take a picture of me? You have to put a filter. Just make sure you edit it well before you share it. Oh my goodness. I'm saying this with a light-hearted mind, but I'm saying that with a light-hearted mind, but the weight of this is just immense. Who are you? Who am I? This is the key to lowering that volume, lowering it down. You may not get it to 0 today, or even during these 5 days, or even in the next year. But as long as the volume of this external noise continues to go down, until it comes to a day when you can say, I may not remember fully who I am, but I know enough now who I am not. I am not what the world tells me. I am not what the world needs me to be. I'm not what the world demands me to be. I am not who I have to show up as to be accepted. I don't owe the world discounts of who I am for me to fit in, for me to achieve my certainty, for me to enjoy variety, for me to feel significant, for me to receive and hold and enjoy love and connection, for me to grow, for me to contribute from the core, not contributing so that it can make me more admirable, for me to be applauded, contributing not from my skills, not from my environment, not from my qualifications, but contributing from who I am, contributing from somewhere deeper. It might be clothed with my skills, or clothed with my education, clothed with my networks, clothed with my desires, the things I like to do, but where is it coming from? If it comes from the core of who I am, it doesn't matter whether the world applauds it or not, because the world applauding it is bonus. The world acknowledging it is bonus. 2 months ago, I had 2 colleagues who had parties in their houses. One of them is a Ugandan, and the other one is a colleague at work. I went to the Ugandan's house first, and by the time I arrived, there was katogo, there was matoke, there was chapati. By the time I realized, I was full, and I was going to the second party. By the time I got to the other party, I couldn't eat anything. I was totally full. But they gave me ice cream. If I had needed that ice cream and I did not get it, I would feel hungry. But I did not need the ice cream. I was already full. The ice cream was a bonus. Because it was a bonus, I ate it slowly, almost 30 minutes, small ice cream, as I was talking to the other people, because this was a bonus. If other people's voices, if their feedback, if their praise, if their acknowledgement of you is your main meal, you can start singing praises to them even when all they've given you is a small piece of ice cream. But if you come there already having eaten, you've eaten because you have continued to do the work of returning to the core, your identity, without the layers, without the masks, without the labels, without the qualifications and the achievements. If you come to that party already having eaten, it doesn't matter what they serve. And that day, my colleague is from India. There was amazing Indian food all around me, but I was full. I was full. If I wanted to taste something, I could taste something. And I would receive it in such a way that I know that I don't depend on it. I am savoring it. I'm tasting it. This is the challenge of return for us this week. Who am I? Who are you? Luke chapter 15 verse 17 says, when he came to his senses. When he came to his senses. He said, how many of my father's hired servants? How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? And here I am, starving to death. This is the same question I asked you at the beginning. When you think of identity, if everything you've experienced this year was a pie, and the percentage of that pie is your core identity. If you actually draw a pie, draw a circle. Draw a circle, it's a pie. It's 100%. And now what I need you to do is to mark the size of the slice of that pie of everything you've experienced this year that is grounded on your core identity. It's not anchored on your achievements, on your networks, on your knowledge, on your memories, on your goals, on your successes, on your mistakes. Just draw a pie. There is no correct pie. There is only a true pie. And maybe getting to the truth will take a bit of reflection. But for now, what does it feel like when you draw it? The work of return is to step away from everything else that did not involve the core identity is others. To begin to return from others to the core. So that I can begin to operate not from the voices of the world, not from the voices of social media, not from the voices of other people. Because even when God speaks with me, He cannot reach me because the house is so noisy. The house is so noisy. If the father in this passage had gone to look for this son when he was in a far country, living wildly, squandering the money, he would never have heard the father, would he? He would never have heard the father. Sometimes, even when God wants to reach me or reach you, He can't reach me, He can't reach you. Why? We are on the side of the pie that is others. And home is closed. Home is distant. We actually go from where we are at home, we go to a far country. Now home becomes the far country because home becomes wherever we are becomes the quote-unquote new home, but it's a counterfeit home. I want us to go to the chat box. And just type what your biggest takeaway is. And I want you to notice if any resistance comes up just by me saying go and type in the chat box. The work of return involves the willingness to look at the truth, willingness to tell yourself the truth, willingness to keep revisiting the truth, willingness to see the truth for what it is, willingness to keep looking at it, because it's never going to change. Who am I? Without my reputation, without my titles, without my resources, who am I? So yesterday we saw the inheritance. But you have to remember that the inheritance was given to the younger son, and that is extremely important. Yesterday, it was the son with the inheritance, but the inheritance was given to the younger son. But who returned home? The son. My challenge is to not miss the opportunities I have to return home, even if it means returning without that inheritance, because what I return home is the one thing that will never change: sonship, my core identity. The labels can fall by the wayside, the reputation can fall by the wayside. The amazing work I have done, the amazing work I would do, whatever books, whatever, all these things will fall by the wayside. One thing will remain true: the core identity will never change. It will remain true. But it can remain true while I'm living in the pig pen. It can remain true when I'm living wildly. It can remain true when I'm on my way running away from home, carrying inheritance that is going to run out. Liz, I see that's the first one I see here. I wouldn't cry if I was born today, as a question. Yes, it's I don't know who you're surrounded by, but sometimes I have a group together during a live session, and I'm like, I want you to stand up and just shout. We are in an isolated area. And then people stand up and they're like, oh, that's you're not shouting. You are inhibited, right? And it's not something you choose to do. Sometimes it's decorum, it's decorum. It's not, because if it's decorum if you choose not to do it, but you can do it. But even if you actually need it, let me give you here's a thought experiment. I take you to which is the busiest place in Nairobi? Take you to Kencom at the stage, right? And you stand there and it's 6 p.m. in the evening, there are people lining up to go into the bus. And I say, ladies and gentlemen, Gladys is about to shout here. Everybody, please listen. Look this way, look this way. Then I count for you, Gladys. 1, 2, 3. And your goal is to shout from the depth of your lungs. By the time I'm counting for you to shout, you're already sweating. And you're not sweating because of the energy that you are expending to shout, just because of that automatic inhibition. And these are layers that we have to work through. We will get there. So if we were born today, we'll probably sob, but we wouldn't cry. The way babies cry, where they vibrate with their whole body, it's probably not going to happen. Isabel, I can say peacemaker, but not compromising what have to be done. Let the thing destroyed to keep peace. We do that all the time. I really like that. Express gently, clearly, while your hands are trembling, while your saliva is drying up, while your heart is racing, while your brain is playing 20 different possibilities of how they are going to receive it. You feel that, but you still do it. If God wanted to speak to me, he can't reach me because the noise around me. Yeah, I couldn't agree. Like, that's so profound, Gladys, the way you expressed it. I am away from myself. And you see what you've done there? You see what you've just did in that statement? What are the first two words? And what is the third word?
I am.
Yeah. I am away. And our goal is to get to the point of saying, I am home. Because what you attach there, I am home. I want to get to the point of saying, I am true. I don't want to say, I am determined where I have to push my body to. I want to be able to feel it intuitively. That is the work of return. I am away. Because once you put that I am away, the emotion is very, very specific. And it's everybody just take a second. If you need to close your eyes, or I want you to just say those words, I am away. Just say those words. Just say those words, I am away. And see what your body feels like. And then now I want you to say the words, I am home. I want you to say it. Don't say it just once. Just say it with a little bit of intention to actually be still. I am home. Yeah, say it again. It's probably going to make you a bit uncomfortable. If it becomes, if you begin to experience significant discomfort, I don't want you to continue. But just say, I am home. And then now, what happens is right now, you can perceive the tension. If you did it, you actually slow down and you actually say that combination of I am with something else, you feel that tension. I may not be able to review all the amazing shares that you guys have given, but we'll see how many we can get through before I hand over to Gladys. My role in this life is to express my authentic self. Ipale, that's beautifully said, and thanks, because this is how I receive back what has come up during the sharing in this session. So thank you. Paula, stepping out full leaves no room for compromise. That's quotable right there. Stepping out full leaves no room for compromise. Ruth, is this Ruth Mulwa, my colleague? Ruth says, my authentic self, my true identity is worthy of expression, not to be suppressed in pursuit of needs. You guys are just dropping zingers today. That's just beautiful. My authentic self, my true identity is worthy of expression, not to be suppressed in pursuit of needs. Elsie said, my role on earth is to express my authentic self. All my needs are just platforms to express who I am. They do not make me more. I am already enough. So the goal of return is to get the point of saying that last sentence and it feels like home. I am enough. You say it and it actually feels like home. I'm probably going to catch maybe two more. Mercy said, nothing will change my core. It can only reveal my real identity. All of your shares today are I just need to write it on a sticky note and see it. I won't be able to read all of them. I'm going to, Ruth, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for joining the 5-day return challenge. I will read the last one that I see here. That is from Kanye. I'm coming back to my true self. Silence every other voice. My life has been noisy. That is all of us. That's all of us, Kanye. Thanks for sharing that. Continue sharing your takeaways. I want to hand over to Madam Consistent, Gladys Omohunyo.
Let's appreciate Dr. Job Mogire for this session. I'm looking for those appreciations. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here and also for participating